I do want to remind you guys that only the co-host and host have microphone privileges. So if you have a question for Jill, please write it in the chat box. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. This is Jill from the CAE Program Office. First and foremost, I hope that everyone is staying healthy. Sort of going along with that, following Governor Hogan's orders earlier this week, NSA has gone to limited staffing, and as a result, the CAE Program Office is actually closed. You can still reach us if you have an emergency. We have a limited number of laptops that we can access at home. But we share them, so only 2 of us have them at this point. You can email the Ask CYSP or the CAE PMO website or email address. I'm sorry, to reach us, but just understand that it may be a few days before we get back to you, and the phone will not get you anywhere at all. We have no way to access our voicemail from outside the building. And since we don't know the state of the world, we don't know how long this will last. So just bear with us. Probably for the next month, I would expect we may be out of the office. So anyway, with that, I have gotten a few questions since we sent out that email blast letting you all know that we're going to be transitioning the SEAL program. So this isn't our typical forum topic, but I just wanted to take just a few minutes to talk about what we're doing and why exactly we're doing it, and how it will affect each of you. So for those of you who aren't as familiar with the term SEAL, they are academic liaisons assigned from different organizations throughout NSA. They could be from research or our cybersecurity directorate. They're subject matter experts throughout the building that, based on the expertise that you have at each of your institutions or how you've mapped your knowledge units, we assign them so that you can have a continuing relationship with someone other than us at NSA. We want to give you guys the opportunity to talk to the experts that are doing the work along with you, whereas we're just, not just, but we're managing the program. So that is not changing. It's just that the management of the program itself will be different. Traditionally, since the inception of the program, we have treated the SEAL program as an extension of the CAE program. It made sense that, we manage the CAE program, we do the application processing, we engage with all of you. So it makes sense to also assign you the experts and talk with the NSA experts inside the building and partner with recruitment and all of that. But things evolve, of course. So we recently made a decision to transition. And the reason that we did that was because for those of you that are more familiar with NSA, in 2016, we went through a massive reorganization. And one of the good things that came out of that was that there was an Office of Academic Engagement that was created with the goal of overseeing all of the academic partnerships across NSA. The CAE office was still separate from that, but they had the oversight throughout the entire agency because, of course, in addition to our CAEs, there were already other established relationships. Some of you had CRADAs with our research organization. There were local recruitment relationships. There were relationships that came about because there was an event and one of our NSA experts went out to speak, and then that relationship continued on. So there, as you can imagine, with as big as our agency is, there were a number of relationships that existed outside of those that existed because of the CAEs. In addition to that, some of our SEALs were managed by not only the SEAL program, but also some of the other programs that existed because of the other relationships. There are about 5 or 6 major, how we call them, strands that manage different relationships. And that was all started to be overseen by the Office of Academic Engagement. We were still submitting reports and you know, the bottom line up front is that there was a lot of duplication of effort going on. And we tried to see what processes we could align on and what things we could do differently. But at the end of the day, it made sense to allow them to kind of take the reins on this. You know, and resources is always a concern. There's only 7 of us now on the team. And because there are now over 300 academic institutions, we love each and every one of you. There are also over 100 SEALs, and managing that program got to be a full-time job. And we just didn't have that capacity. So the Office of Academic Engagement offered to take it on, and you know, we went ahead and took them up on that. So short-term adjustments and long-term adjustments I'll talk about. But one thing I do want to say is that more than anything, the relationships that you have with other NSA experts outside of the program office, we expect this to be pretty transparent to you. I don't expect that there is a time at any point in the future, certainly not the next year, 2 years, 3 years or so, where someone would say you can no longer have a relationship with that expert. You really shouldn't see a difference, except that maybe you'll be hearing from different program management offices other than us. They may be asking you how you feel your relationship is with that SEAL. Where do you feel the gaps? What areas of expertise would you look for if you were reassigned a new SEAL? Do you feel that you need one? Do you feel that you can get the same sort of information without having a SEAL assigned to you? We have had some of you in the past that were assigned a SEAL, and to be honest with you, you came to us a year or so later and didn't know what a SEAL was because that person had never engaged with you. We want to get away from that. We feel that if we are using the resources, or the Office of Academic Engagement is using the resources to assign someone to meet your needs, we want to make sure that your needs are actually met. And the academic engagement folks do have the processes in place to sort of do that audit. So probably mid to late summer, I would say, assuming that things get back to normal here in the foreseeable future, you may be hearing from them just sort of a little survey about how your experience has been over the past few years with the person that's assigned to you. So please answer that as honestly as possible. Don't be afraid to be completely honest if your relationship hasn't been great. And if it has been great, please, let us know that too. And so the other half of this is we don't want anyone to feel that you're losing the engagement that you're getting in the event that the Office of Engagement would come back and say, hey, we don't feel that necessarily this school needs a SEAL, or they've said they don't need a SEAL, but you still feel that there might be an occasion every semester where you want a speaker to come out and talk, or you want an expert to weigh in on a topic or sit on some sort of board. So we are going to also roll out CAE webinars, which this talk here would more fit in line with that than the Forum and Tech Talk, because we view them as a complement of Forum and Tech Talk, where Forum and Tech Talk we're going to sort of meld so that it's more of a community-based talk. In the past, we've given the option to NSA experts if they want to weigh in. A few talks ago, we had someone from Ghidra, we've had someone from DHS. We're going to stop that and sort of separate them so that Forum and Tech Talk, we're hearing from you, and CAE webinars, you're hearing from us. Right now, to start with, we'll just look at experts throughout NSA. We have Neil Ziering, many of you know him, who is very interested in kicking us off, and we had planned to kind of roll this out at the end of this month, but we will have to delay that a bit, but you'll be hearing from me. We decide to go forward with that. In the meantime, what we're looking for really from you are, what do you want to hear about? What issues or technologies do you want to hear about from our NSA experts that maybe it's been hard to hear from in the past, or it's in line with something that you're working with in your research or in a class? What do you want to hear from, so that we can tailor these briefings so that you're getting the most out of it, and that you're consistently hearing from someone from NSA that can meet your needs. And then, of course, I touched on this a little bit, long-term adjustments. The Office of Academic Engagement will be doing evaluation of the relationships. As I said, they'll be coming to you and asking you if your relationships are active and they make sense, and that if there's a return on investment on both sides. So we want you to get the most out of it, but we also want to see that NSA is getting the most out of it. Are your students coming to work for us? Because that's always important, of course. Are we sharing the right cybersecurity expertise? Is there a give and take on both sides? And I think in most cases, the answer is yes, but they'll want to reach out and do their own audit, of course. And so your communication about that will be coming directly from the Office of Academic Outreach and Engagement. I don't have a LOSAT alias for them yet. If I had been in the office, I may have been able to look into that, but I'm not. So if I'll get back to you on if there's some way you can reach out to them. Yes, the CAE webinars will be recorded so that your students can review them. So if it's much like these forums and tech talks are recorded, and some of you I know fit them later into your curriculum. You'll be able to do that with your CAE webinars as well. My goal is to have them monthly as it makes sense. We don't want to overwhelm you guys with constant webinars, but we also recognize the importance of communications, and we know you want to hear from these experts, so we want to give you the opportunity to do that. And if it gets to be something where it makes sense to just record them, we can look at that option too. But to start off, they will run similarly to Forum and Tech Talk, where it will be a live briefing, time for questions, and then they'll be recorded and put on the community site. So look at some of the questions. And Anne asked if academic outreach will be given the name of the PIs. So you'll get a separate email, but yes, if you're comfortable with that. We are still working out what the process will be with academic engagement, but as long as you are comfortable with your name being out there, and in many cases, it's, your cyber center information is already on the website and available to the public, then they will be able to reach out to you directly. For anyone who, for whatever reason, does not want the fact that you're the PI shared, we can work around that. But I think most of you will agree that it makes most sense for you to be reached directly to. And so going forward with the webinars, we will we'll work out what makes sense for the regular schedule. I foresee possibly, if we decide that moving Forum worked better to the beginning of the month, we'll give that a little time to see if that makes sense. Then maybe we'll do something on the fourth week or whatever the down week is from Tech Talk and Forum, whether that's the second week or the fourth week. And that way, you guys, if you want to tune in weekly, you'll have that opportunity, or you can kind of lump them all together at the end of the month, whatever that makes sense for you to do. And then we'll hope to expand them further so that we can bring in DHS and National Science Foundation and FBI and DoD-CIO and Cyber Command, and we'll also include NICE, of course, but they already do a host of NICE webinars, so we will look at them, but we may not invite them to ours as frequently, because then it will be death by webinar. And so for those of you that sit in on Alice's, we may look at just trying to streamline our communication, right? So if she has a briefing that she needs to get out to all of you, we'll put that in a CAE webinar slot. So you'll know once we get things honed out that every second or fourth Wednesday or Thursday of the month, you'll be hearing from someone at NSA. And our goal is for every quarter, more than likely on the quarters where we don't have a CAE event, you'll then hear from the CAE program office. So had we had ELF this year, we would have had a PI meeting. And then maybe in August or September, we would have a CAE webinar directly from the CAE program office where we can have something live where we can take your questions. And then of course we would have NICE. And then, what is that, March, we would have something, one of our webinars would follow from the program office. So that's what we're looking at. We're working on putting this in a nice little package. As I said, Neil Ziering is very on board with briefing to you guys. He's very excited. And then we also have someone from our security office, because many of you and some of the students that I've talked to recently always want to hear about the clearance process. So we'll have that. And then that way we can have that recorded and you can show that Zoom webinar to your students as long as you need to. Also, in order to avoid duplication of effort, of course, there are other webinars that we've found out about that recruitment gives on different topics. I doubt that it's happening, but they were supposed to do one tomorrow, actually. So we would give you that information, and if it makes sense in the monthly schedule, we would do that in lieu of our CAE webinars. Our real goal with these is really just to connect you with NSA experts or with our partner experts so that you can have that ongoing conversation. So that's really all I have. This was meant to be short, just wanted to give you guys an update on where we were. Looks like there are a few questions, so I will take those. And of course, if anyone has any questions, just put them into the chat box. Yes, yeah, the clearance definitely is a big hot topic. And I've seen the briefing and it's a really good one. It just talks about, first of all, why it takes so long, because of course, you know, sometimes it is a really long time, but what you can do as the applicant to streamline that, what you can have ready to go, what things will definitely preclude you from getting a clearance, but what things that you may think will preclude you but really won't. You know, there are certain things, and I'm by no means a security expert, so I'm not going to list any specifics. But there was one that that in the last briefing that I was in, the security really said at the end of the day, we want people to be honest. So the biggest hiccup they find, especially with some of the younger applicants that are coming in, is they think that our security folks won't find out. And they obviously always do. So being upfront and honest about some of the things is a big thing. Also, even though in some states there are certain substances that are legal by federal government law, if you have consumed marijuana in the last 12 months, you will not pass a clearance. That is something that is surprising to many people, simply because in some states it is legal. So things like that, that folks I know have had an interest in hearing about, that's what we want to bring to you. But like I said, we're really looking for you to give us your thoughts. If there's something that you really want to hear about, let us know so that we can coordinate with that briefer and pick a spot so you can hear about that. Because you guys are working on a lot of great stuff, and I know inside the gates we are doing it too. So what ways can we kind of pair that up to get the best return on investment from everybody? Are there any more questions? So Jennifer asked that they have a great relationship with our CAO, which is wonderful, but you're unsure exactly what you're supposed to get from them. So we can definitely talk more specifically on your case offline about that. But as a general terms, the good and bad part of the relationship with the seal in the past is that we wanted it to be what that seal could make of it. So we never had specific guidelines on what they are and are not supposed to do, because we recognize that every school's needs are different and that every seal has a different workload and a capacity for what they can do. The one thing that we require of them is that they have consistent ongoing communication, that if there is a request that that you ask of them. So some of our seals have done a briefing to a class, especially the more local ones, about a certain topic. One of the things that I am still doing, even though we're handing this particular program over, is compiling a list of expertise for all of our seals, so that if you, Jennifer, would come into me and say, hey, I want a briefing about high performance computing, but my seal has told me that he is not the expert in that field. Is there another seal that you have that already has the established relationship with the CAE program that could give that talk? That's one of the things that we're aiming for. But really, the specific requirements part has always been a gray area, because we didn't want it to be too stringent. We just wanted to give you an avenue other than the program office where you could actually get to the subject matter experts at NSA. And then whether that is, them coming to maybe judge a competition or give a briefing to a class, we do ask them, when the budget is amenable, that they visit on site with you once per year, and then other than that they have regular communication, and just establish that relationship. So as you feel like you need help in areas of expertise and like in something that you're working on, you have the ability to go to them too, because the program office, of course, has a limited knowledge of cybersecurity, but we are not in the nitty gritty like you guys are every day, and like our experts at NSA are. Yeah, that's great. Okay, great. I'm glad that helped, Jennifer. Lonnie, we appreciate that, but we want you to reach out when you can. I think if I'm remembering correctly, your seal is Chip, maybe. So one of the things that we have done in the past is all of our seals, for those of you that are aware of the structure, are at least 14, 15s, or seniors. And that way, if they meet with your president, they're sort of on that same executive level. Sometimes that does present a problem, of course, because especially our seniors at the agency, they do have a lot on their plate. But we still ask that if there's something that you're not getting from them, feel free to reach out. One of the things that we have toyed with in the past and ultimately just didn't have the resources for was having some sort of co-seal, maybe maybe not as a high level executive, but someone that has the expertise and is down in the nitty gritty, but has that available time more than our more senior seals are. I'm not sure if what they're going to look at in the Office of Engagement, but that's something that we've talked about in the past for that reason. And yes, if you send an email to CAE PMO and just put my name in the subject line, yes, once we resume regular operations, we can work that out. Not a problem. Are there any other questions? Yes, I agree, Mark, that it would be a great idea to have our SEALs or NSA to meet with career services. Yeah, that is a great idea. Can you send me an email with that so that I can run with that? I know it's hard to believe, but I don't know who everyone's seal is off the top of my head. If you will send me an email with that when I get back into the office, I will connect with your seal and see if he or she is interested in doing that. And if he or she is not or doesn't have the time, if there's another person that would be willing to do that. Okay. And as I said, oh, Jennifer. I actually don't know the answer to that, Jennifer. I know that there are tools in place that can track that as they come into the agency. But I don't know. Let me take that one for action and see if I can find out from our recruitment office, because I don't know, and I'm not recruitment, so I don't want to take a guess. Jennifer Hull, the acronym stands for Security Education Academic Liaison. Thanks again, Yair. Great presentation today. All right, well, if no one has any other questions, then I will go ahead and turn this back over to Anastasia so she can close it up. But as I said, I hope everyone stays healthy. And like I said, since we're closed right now, you can still email us, and we will, the folks that have the laptops are sort of forwarding them back, the emails to each of us so we can look at them. But for that reason, there just might be a delay. And if there's anything that we need to do back in the office, that'll take a little bit of time as well. Thanks.